Good evening. Welcome you all to our monthly webinar for the city of Fayetteville, Georgia. And on the behalf of our Mental Health Advisory Board and Councilwoman, our chairman, Dr. Naya Glover, we want to say welcome. Welcome to all of you who are attending and to all of the men who's in the room. Please decide to stay until the end. So good evening once again and happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Men's mental health, breaking the silence. Men are lost to despair 4 times as often as women. Most of them, excuse me, never tell anyone that they are struggling. We can change that right here this month in Fayetteville. So I want you guys to invite a friend and stay till the end. Let's keep moving with the slides. Now, why we are here tonight. This is an hour to break a silence that costs lives in Fayette County. Men in our community are being lost to something we can talk about. June is Men's Health Month. We are using this hour to make men's mental health visible, not as a slogan, but as a set of recognizable signs, plain language conversations, and verified local numbers you can use starting on tomorrow. Let's see what is hidden. Recognize the way distress shows up in men: anger, withdrawal, overwork, alcohol, not just sadness. Learn one conversation, a 4-step script, ALEC, you can use the same day you leave this Zoom. Know who to call. Save 2 numbers tonight. Go ahead and write them down, screenshot them: 988 and GCAL, 1-800-715-4225. They route Georgia callers to local help. Walk out tonight with a plan. Pick one small step, one call, one text, one walk before this webinar ends. Men are not built for silence. They are taught to perform. Know that this is your night, men, to break the silence, okay? Anyone who loves a man, partners, sons, mothers, fathers, co-workers, coaches, pastors, please pay attention. We will use one word, one new word for men inclusively. Any adult who identifies as a man and faces these pressures, tonight's webinar is just for you. Okay? We're going to use that one word, men inclusively. Once again, any adult who identifies as a man and faces these pressures. Let's keep moving. I want you guys to know that the numbers are not abstract. They are the men around us. More than 49,000 American lives was lost to despair in 2023, about 1 every 11 minutes. Roughly, that's 4 to 5. They were men. 49,000 plus U.S. lives lost in 2023. 79% of those lost lives were men. 4 times males lost rate versus females. That's 4 times, you guys. Wow. 11 minutes. 1 life lost every 11 minutes. Breaking the silence is not just a slogan. It's the single most evidence supported action a community can take to prevent the loss of men's lives. What can you do tonight? Name one man you love and ask yourself, when you last asked him plainly, honey, how are you doing? Just one plain question. How are you doing? Read body language. Don't just listen to what he's saying. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I want you to know that women attempt more suicide, but men are lost more. Wow, is that not alarming? Women are roughly 1.5 times more likely than men to attempt to end their lives. Yet men are 3 to 4 times more likely to be lost. The difference is means. Firearms were involved in 60.7% of those losses among men in 2023, and firearm attempts have a fatality rate near 90%. A first attempt for a man is far more often a fatal one, a final one. Older men carry the heaviest weight. Wow. Men 75 and over have the highest rate of loss among men in 2023, 40.7 per 100,000. Oh, wow. Is that not alarming? White men overall are highest among men at 24.8 per 100,000. That is very alarming. Look at the statistics. U.S. rates of lives lost per 100,000. Okay. Men, it was 22.7%. Women, 5.9%. Men 75 and over, 40.7%. U.S. overall, 14.2%. Is that not alarming? Let's keep moving. Now, same illness, very different odds of ever getting help. Among U.S. adults with any mental illness, women are roughly 1.6 times more likely than men to receive any mental health treatment in a given year. The gap is not biology, it is silence. 56.9% of women with a mental health illness receive treatment. Only 41.6% of men with the mental illness receive treatment. 1 in 4 men reports anxiety or depression who talk to a professional. Let me say it again. Only 1 in 4 men reporting any type of anxiety or depression were willing to talk to a professional. Is that not alarming? Adults with any mental illness who receive treatment, okay? Let's look at the numbers. Women, oh wow, 56.9%. Men, only 41.6%. Now, quote, if you can lift a hood and ask a buddy to help, you can ask one to help you carry this too. Wow. If you can lift the hood and ask a buddy to help, you can ask one to help you carry this too. Is that not profound? Listen, man, I want that man right now who's listening to me, who's feeling overwhelmed. Don't feel like it's a weakness to reach out for help, but actually it's a sign of strength. Let's keep going. Man up is a public health problem. A 2025 systematic review of 47 studies concluded that traditional masculinity norms significantly detour men from seeking mental health support. Self-reliance, emotional control, toughness, and be strong messaging raise self-stigma and discourage disclosure, especially in front of other men. It is taught and not natural. Boys are praised for not crying. By midlife, the praise become a prison. And I always share it when I'm teaching groups and I talk to my clients that don't ever discourage a boy, a young boy, or a baby or a male child from showing their emotions, okay? Please, you guys, let's get away from that. Oh, you're a crybaby or you're acting like a girl, and this caused them to not know how to express their emotions. And I totally agree that by midlife, it usually becomes a prison sentence because they don't know how to express their emotions and they're bottled up. And usually when they begin to get them out or let them out, they take them out on society and people around them. Now, listen up, you guys. Self-reliance taken too far. Have you ever said this to yourself? I can handle this all by myself because I can never admit I cannot. Especially men who have wives, you have families. Don't ever let that suggestion come to your mind and you accept it that you got to handle this all by yourself. Because once again, I'm a man and I cannot admit that I'm not feeling my best right now, or I have anxiety, or I have some form of depression that's trying to creep up. Also, once again, that fear of looking weak in your job, the locker room, and families that prize themselves on he's tough. Asking for help can feel like losing rank, like you're being a wimp. Oh, you don't want to do that. That make you look like you're not masculine. Those are all lies and myths. Check this one out. No language for feelings. Many men were never taught the words for emotions beyond fine. I'm fine. Fine and fine. I'm okay. Remember that language. Listen to it as well as body language. Listen to what he's not saying to you. A typical symptom. Men's depression often hide as anger. Do you all know that a lot of times with men, it comes out like they're aggressively angry when they're speaking out, hidden behind that fear of I don't know what's going to happen next, or I am experiencing feelings of depression. So men's depression often hide or try to hide as anger, overworking, or even alcohol or substance abuse. So even they do not often recognize it. So he's feeling anger, or maybe he's working himself through this, you know, uneasy feeling he's been having, this overwhelming feeling, or he starts drinking, or he starts smoking. So a lot of the times they are not even aware of these symptoms. Wow, is that not alarming? Go ahead and invite that man in your life to come on. Say, come on, come into the Zoom. We want to talk about this. Next slide. Now, male depression rarely cries. It snaps, drinks, and overworks once again. Clinical sources from Mayo Clinic to Healthline describe a pattern called externalizing. Instead of overt sadness, men with depression tend to show irritability. Wow, all of a sudden you say, honey, how are you doing today? Why you want to know? Or are you going to cook dinner tonight? Why are you asking me? Or becoming angry. Maybe you're asking a simple question and he goes over the top. What about risky behavior? All of a sudden he's caught up into all type of things. There are so many men that's caught up into pornography, and even, yes, Christian men and men who are believers is caught up into risky behavior. They're trying to cover up the depression or being overwhelmed. Escapism, I want to just drown my trouble into maybe the television or some other things that they're doing so that they won't have to deal with those uneasy feeling, the overwhelming feeling of depression. And once again, substance use. That is why depression is so often missed in our men by clinicians, by their families, and by the men themselves. Now, let's talk about externalizing. What does it look like? Once again, short temper. Where are you going? What do you want to know? Picking a fight, just trying to find something to get into a disagreement about. What about drinking more? Wow. Gambling, dangerous driving, married to work. He engulfs himself in his job and pulling away from the family. Instead of sticking with the family or wanting to do things with the family, he finds himself pulling away because he's overwhelmed. Internalizing what is underneath. Hopelessness. Wow. He's feeling like it's not going to get any better. There's exhaustion there. He's been trying and can't do it on his own. Harsh self-talk. He's talking down to himself. Therefore, he stopped talking down to you and to the other people in his life. He starts to feel like a burden. I can't take care of my family. Or times are so bad that what happens if we go under? He loses sleep. There are sleep problems there. And then also a loss of pleasure. All of a sudden, he doesn't even want to be with his mate. He has no interest there, or he can't do the things that he's usually able to do. These are all signs of what's underneath there. Okay, you guys? I often tell men when they come into my office, the first thing I tell them that I am so proud of you, whether they're black, white. I've had black and white men to come sit into my office and tell me that this is the best decision that they ever made was to seek help. And I always give them praise because I know that it's hard for a man to admit that he is having struggles with his feelings. with being overwhelmed, with feeling hopeless, or being, in a position to where he feels like the whole weight of the family is on his shoulder. I was talking to a client recently, and he shared with me, he said, I told my wife that I can't take it anymore. And I began to praise him for the fact that he was able to be vulnerable with his wife. And I told him, actually, to me, that's showing that you really care about yourself and your family when you let your wife know that you are in need of help, that you just not able to do the things that you want to do because you're feeling exhausted. Wow. So I don't know who's listening tonight, but please listen that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but it's actually a sign of strength. Let's keep going. Now, I want you to know if you're seeing 3 or 4 of these together, do not wait. Okay. Somebody say, do not wait. No single sign is a diagnosis. Clusters of these lasting 2 weeks or more are the signal that a man you love needs a real conversation. Not let me know if you ever need anything, but they need a real conversation. Let's talk about it, okay? What about anger out of pattern? Suddenly he's snapping at his family. You know that's out of character. He's driving and he's, having road rage. He's flipping the bird and he's shouting at people, while he's driving. He's picking fights, especially in someone who's usually calm. What about withdrawals? Skipping the things he used to love, going quiet on the group chat for weeks. Wow. More drinking or use. Heavier night drinks is 1 nightcap to 2 nightcaps. New or returning drug use. Wow, all of a sudden he's starting to smoke. He want to take a joint just to lay down at night. And he say things like, I just need to take the edge off. What about reckless behavior? He's starting to gamble. He's speeding once again. Sudden physical risk taking. Unprotected sex. Now he wants to go out and get hooked on, hey, all the women that he can find, trying to drown his troubles. Here's another sign: escapism, overworking, always on, 70-hour weeks, all night gaming, and he can never come home. Wow. What about unexplained pain? Mm. Headaches, back pain, stomach issues, chronic fatigues, always tired, insomnia, not able to sleep at night with no clear cause. Wow. Are any of these familiar to you? If so, act immediately. If you hear any talk of not wanting to be here, such as I am a burden, giving away his possessions, or sudden calm after a hard stretch, call or text 988 or call GCAL at 1-800-715-4225. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Divorce, maybe job loss, retirement. Watch these changes of life, these moments closely. A 2025 meta analysis and psychological bulletin of more than 106 million men across 75 studies found that divorced men have 2.82% the odds of being lost compared with married men. Wow. Separated men, roughly 4.8%. They're 4.8%. And separated men under 35, about 8.6%. Risk is highest in the weeks right after these changes, not months later. Let me say that again. Weeks later, maybe a divorce, a job loss, or a retirement. The first 90 days, guess what? They matter the most. Now let's explain further. Divorce or separation. About 1 in 5 of these losses among men in the U.S. involves intimate partner problems. Wow. Job loss or financial stress. Sustained unemployment is consistently linked to elevated risk for men. The worst combination involves both job loss and divorce. And usually, divorces, a lot of times, leads to job loss. And job loss, a lot of times, leads to divorce because it's overwhelming for men who are not used to seeking help or don't want anybody to know that they're overwhelmed. I had a client to tell me recently, he said, I just told my wife I couldn't do it anymore. And now they're having marital problems. They are having issues in their marriage because of his job. He didn't lose the job, but the job is so overwhelming. It's a lot going on with his job. Also, retirement and aging. Men 75 plus have the highest rate of loss, 40.7% per 100,000. Loss of role. Wow. Now they don't know who they are outside of the job. Their identity is like no longer there. They were associating themselves with, I'm the man because I'm a general manager. I have a new client and he's has a high power position, but he said outside of that position, it's hard for him to know who he is. He lost himself in that high power position. Okay. Also, a physical health when they all compound together. Wow. A lot of times men are having issues with their bodies and they're not comfortable with talking about them. So if you get all of these combined, it can cause a man to become depressed and overwhelmed. Now, let's talk about midlife between the ages of 40 to 64. Men's depression tends to peak in midlife. Mm. Empty calendars after the kids leave can hide a heavy mind. So maybe you have a man in your life and he's aging and he's going through some things that he needs to learn how to grow through. You know, all of a sudden it's you and him in the house, and the kids are all gone. And usually he has his mind occupied with the children or maybe his family. So now that's time that's idle. And he has time to sit there and think about, oh, I'm getting older. Is she still going to love me if I can't perform like I used to? Or will my family still think about me as I'm aging? Maybe he's going through some changes with his body. All of a sudden, the body start doing different things. So you guys listen. If you see any of these signs, please, please, please reach out for help. Okay? Let's keep going to the next slide. All right? This is not just a national story. It is our state. In 2023, 1,658 Georgians were lost to despair, an age adjusted rate of 14.7 per 100,000, higher than the national rate. Wow. 80% were men. Firearms were the means in 65% of those losses, you guys. Firearms. Once again, 1,658 Georgia lives were lost in 2023. 80% of those lives lost were men. 65% of those losses involved firearms. And we're the 37th, y'all, in ranking for adults' access to mental health care. Wow. The access gap in plain terms. Most Georgia counties are designated mental health professional shortage areas. This state has among the lowest mental health workforce per capita rates in this nation. And Georgia overdose related losses rose roughly 76% from 2018 to 2021. The point is not despair. It is that the door has to be wider and clearer than it currently is, especially for our men. Okay, you guys, especially for our men. What makes Georgia different in a good way? 988 routes Georgia area code calls to GCAL, the same line that dispatches mobile crisis right to your door. Is that not good news? Let's keep going. Okay. Therapy works, you guys. Please hear my heart. Therapy actually works. Engagement is the hurdle. Decade of research shows psychotherapy is very effective for depression and anxiety. The problem in men's mental health is not whether therapy helps, it is that men show up less and they quit sooner. Men make up only about 26% of participants in depression treatment trials, and dropout rates among men can approach 45%. And let's talk about what helped men stay. Male-friendly therapists who are direct, action-oriented, strength-based, and goal-focused. Not tell me how you feel without a plan. And I know when our clients come in, we immediately begin to let them know, that there is treatment available for them. That once again, we welcome everyone, and especially males who are having issues with depression, being overwhelmed, any health issues that they're having. We make it where they can come in and feel free to express themselves and get the help they need. First visit, what therapy usually is: a weekly 50-minute conversation with a trained professional. And I know a lot of us now, we do 60 minutes, okay? You set goals, you leave with something to try. So when my males come in, immediately I ask them, what areas are you being the most challenged in? So for example, if it's um, generalized anxiety disorder, massive depression, major depression disorders, immediately we have a specific treatment plan that we will make just for that particular man. Okay. We're going to give you some type of homework, some type of treatment when you come in for therapy. What works for many men? CBT. You guys, I am a CBT fan, cognitive behavior therapy. We're going to teach you, I'm going to show you how to reframe your thoughts. I'm going to show you that every thought that comes to your mind is not to be accepted as a fact. I'm going to show you how to rewire your brain through neuroplasticity. CBT is a great tool for anybody, and especially for men who's battling depression based upon having the wrong thoughts about what it is for a man. One of my clients I'm thinking about recently, he came in and he was like, I feel like I'm a failure because I'm not able to provide the way I want to for my family at this time. And I use CBT therapy to help him to reframe his thoughts. And I'm like, so where have you read that a man has to be the sole provider for his family? What law is that? He was like, Tracy, I never thought about that. So I said, if you have a wife who's willing to help you, maybe you're in between jobs, or maybe your job is just not doing what it usually would do. Instead of going into a depression and having thoughts that I'm not a provider, think about, I'm grateful that I have a wife or someone that can help me. Someone who not just to help me, but to work together with me so that we can reach the common goal of what? Of our family having what we need. So that's basically CBT right there. So somebody say, I came on tonight and I got a good golden nugget to take back with me. Then behavioral activation. We're going to teach you how to begin to implement, behavior changes. And I also love problem solving therapy, how to solve that problem. Solution focused brief therapy. If you woke up tomorrow and that problem was gone, how would you act? So act as if it's already done. Come on, somebody. And EMDR for trauma. Now, our company, we specialize in a lot of EMDR therapy with our clients. Also, all have strong evidence. I like DBT therapy. We have acceptance therapy. There's so many different styles to fit the need of the individual. So, men, I hope you guys are listening. So, what to ask for on that first call? You ask when you're calling in for help, do you work with men around anger, work stress, or relationships? Also ask, are you direct and structured? How will we know? How will I know it is working? And I will tell any man that's on this Zoom or listen to this replay, if you find a clinician who understands the importance of men getting the help they need, they're going to work with you with anger. They're going to be able to help you with your work stress, your relationships. They want the whole man to develop, okay, and operate with a healthy mindset, especially those of you guys who've been trained that you're the head of your families. So we're going to be direct with you and we're going to be structured with you so that you can get the help that you need to succeed. So I want you men to know that once again, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but it's actually a sign of strength. You're doing the best thing you could do for not just your family and those that you love or your boo or whoever, but you're doing the best thing you could do for you to start healing so that you won't have to sit back and, battle thoughts of suicide. We're going to show you how to reframe your thinking, and we're going to show you that it's okay not to be okay as a man. It's just not okay for you to stay that way for too long. Okay? We want to get you out of that stuck position. So now Mr. Russell is going to help me out.
Okay. So as we move into this slide, the friendship recession, and dig a little bit deeper into what works and how connection really helps. Connection is medicine. Men actually take. Pew Research back in January of 2025 finds men and women report similar overall loneliness, but men hold smaller, less diverse support networks and turn to friends less often. The share of men reporting six or more close friends has fallen sharply since 1990. Community settings, men's sheds, sports clubs, barbershops, faith group, they all reach men who would never walk into a clinic. I know myself, I have a couple of different friend groups that I share things with, but the alarming thing, we've talked about this recently, is that most of them, like six is a lot for a lot of guys. Most of them couldn't even name four close friends that they had that they could talk to. Men's groups and peer support is real evidence that structured peer settings reduce isolation and risk. We like things to be side by side, not face to face. Most men open up while doing something, driving, fishing, working on a project, not across a coffee table. I know I've had a lot of good conversations while driving because I do a lot of driving for work, and also just sitting at the lake while fishing. Next slide. Boring, repeatable, and powerful. The disciplined practices that drive meaningful results. No single habit replaces care, but exercise, sleep, and reducing alcohol have measurable antidepressant effects. And most men will start there before they will sit on the couch. Exercise, the dose that actually helps. Roughly 30 to 60 minutes, 3 times a week for 12 weeks or longer. Effect size is moderate, comparable to the first line treatments for mild to moderate depression. Sleep, and this is a big one. I know I'm guilty of this one myself. 7 hours is medicine, tightly linked to mood and impulse control, snoring loudly, wake up unrefreshed, ask about sleep apnea. It's underdiagnosed in men and is a huge multiplier. And alcohol, less than you think. Alcohol amplifies depression and is the single biggest accelerant of crisis for men. Cutting back lifts mood within weeks, an easy first move that costs nothing. And like it says down here at the bottom, stack a walk with a phone call to a friend. You get exercise and connection, two of the strongest protective factors at once. And that also kind of creates that accountability partner for you as well. That could go from a phone call to somebody meeting up with you and walking. Just that small group setting is really helpful. Next slide. All right, 4 letters that you can use tonight. A script for the moment that you know something is off. Developed by Movember. Alec is a teachable script for friends and family. It's plain, direct, and short enough to remember when you need it. First, we have ask. You've not seemed like yourself lately. Are you doing okay? Really? Ask twice. The first answer is often automatic. Listen. Stop fixing. Stop comparing. Repeat back what you hear. It sounds like work is grinding on you. Silence is fine. Encourage action. Have you talked to anyone? Want me to look at GCal with you? Make the next step small. One call, one walk, one appointment. And check in. Thinking of you. How's this week? One text a week, a month. Persistent, low-key contact saves lives. You don't need to be the therapist. You need to be the one person who notices and follows up. That's almost always enough to get someone moving. Just having that person there is big in a lot of people's lives. And just being that consistent person, you can be that rock and not even know it. And as long as you keep doing it, you're doing something good. Next slide. The words that matter. Use the ones that land. Say this. You've not seemed like yourself. Talk to me. I'm not going anywhere. Take your time. This is bigger than I know how to help with. Let's call the line together. 988. You are not weak. You are carrying a lot. There is help for that. I love you. Can I call you Sunday and check in? And for a crisis, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Ask directly does not put the idea in, it opens the door. Don't say this. Just push through it. Man up. I know a lot of us kind of came up in that just push through, and that's not always the best. Other people have it worse. Snap out of it. You have so much to be grateful for. You don't really mean that about talk or not wanting to be here. Let me know if you ever need anything. And that's very vague, and most people don't even know if you're going to act on that or not. And I get it. I had a bad week too. You want to keep the focus on them instead of pulling it back to you. I know one of the other things that I've kind of incorporated to asking people when I see them is, how was your week? Because just asking them how they're doing, they're just going to say good and keep it moving. But when you start asking them how their week was, then that gets a little bit more personal and allows them to open up to you. One sentence rule: if you cannot remember anything else, just say, I'm not going anywhere. And then you prove it next week. Next slide. Campaigns built for men actually move men. Stigma is changeable. When campaigns speak men's language, men engage. These four show that it works. November, 1 billion raised, surpassed 1 billion in cumulative funds globally by 2023, and has supported over 1,250 men's health projects since 2003. Headspace guys, 66% more likely to help. Among men who had not previously sought help, 66% reported they were more likely to after visiting the site. That's big. That's really big. Man therapy, humor as a doorway, uses irreverent humor to bring working age men to mental health screening and resources, widely cited as the model for male-friendly outreach. NIMH Classic showed real men describing real depression, reducing self-stigma, and increased help seeking in the evaluations. Still relevant 20 plus years later. Men's mental health outreach works when it meets men where they already are, at the gym, in the truck, on the job site, in the pew. Wherever men gather, that's where mental health outreach works. And you would be surprised at where that is, but anywhere that men gather, that happens. Next slide. The clinic is not the front door, job site is. Most men will never walk into a therapist's office cold. They will, however, talk on a tailgate, in a pew, at a barber chair, or at work. Build the on-ramps there. The workplace for many men, work is the most natural access point. EAPs, manager training, 2 questions, mental health check-ins, needle. Faith communities, pastors and lay leaders trained in mental health, first aid, become first responders for men in their pews. Barbershops and gyms, and this is a big one. Programs in barbershops have measurably reduced stigma and increased help seeking among Black men in particular. In primary care, the annual physical is one of the few rooms most men enter alone with a professional. PHQ-9 screening saves lives there. If you lead a workplace, a faith community, or coaching staff in Fayette County, ask the Mental Health Awareness Board to help you build a 30-minute mental health check-in for the men in your circle. Next slide. Of your list and specific lives, some men carry an extra weight. They need a tailored hand. Veterans, higher risk, specific lines and supports, 988, then press 1, or text 838-255. Hope line for first responders, 1-800-267-5463. And you all be sure to take these numbers down because you never know when you may need them. Keep them in your wallet or something. Fathers, Postpartum depression affects an estimated 1 in 10 new fathers, often hidden behind work and just tired. Pediatric visits are good screening moments. Older men 65 and up, they have the highest rate of loss of any age group. Watch retirement, widowhood, and physical decline. A weekly phone call from a grandchild is real medicine. Young men 18 to 34. Separated men under 35 have roughly 8.6 times the risk of married peers. They watch breakups, lost jobs, or hard during this window. LGBTQ plus men, disproportionate rates of depression and thoughts of self harm. They can get in contact with the Trevor Project, 1-866-488-7386. And men of color, they face additional stigma and access barriers. Culturally matched providers in community based settings, faith, and barbershops measurably improve engagement. The group settings are big for any one of these groups, and they're big for men, period. Anytime you can get a group together, a group of men together, they will open up. And I've seen that happen personally. So we'll move on and hand it back over to Ms. Ricks.
And I wanted to add on the men of color. Make sure that you guys, if you're listening or you're watching this replay, I want you guys to make sure that you don't allow, even workforce discrimination and things that you have seen in the workforce to cause you to feel like you got to carry that type of stuff on your shoulders. I know someone who is the client who was sharing with me how he was so distressed that it started coming out in his urine, from racial discrimination in 2026. So if you're a man of color, you've been discriminated on your job, or you're feeling you're being racially profiled, I just want to make sure I say that too. You can reach out for help. Don't feel like, I don't want anybody to know. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that. And thank you, Mr. Russell. So save these to your phone tonight. When the moment is now. These 6 lines cover almost every immediate crisis for you, a buddy, maybe your son, a father, a coworker, a non-required insurance. Listen at this, required insurance, all are free. So don't say that I can't get help, okay? These are all free resources. 988, somebody say 988, okay? 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call or text 24/7. It's free, it's confidential, okay? So you guys screenshot this slide so that you can have it saved on your phone. 988lifeline.org. So remember, 988, you remember how we all was talking about 911 back in my day? So add that into your favorites. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Georgia Crisis and Access Line, GCAL. Dispatches mobile crisis to your location. Also, you can go to my GCAL app is available. 1-800-715-4225. Then we have our Veteran Crisis Line. No VA enrollment is required. It's free and it's confidential because we send a lot of veterans now. So make sure that if you guys are dealing with any of this and you're veterans, call that Veterans Crisis Line 988 -1. Then we have Crisis Text Line. Text only crisis support 24/7. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, they have trained counselors, okay? Home to 741-741. And then we have our 911, okay? Request a CIT trained officer. That stands for Crisis Intervention Team Officers trained in mental health response. Notice they're trained, 911. Then we have our COP line, the first responders, confidential peer support for police, your firemen, EMS 24/7, okay? 1-800-267-5463. Next slide. I want y'all to screenshot this, okay? Now, also, once again, take a screenshot of this slide. Go ahead and do it. Verified ongoing support for men. Local lines first, then we have national help, then men focused organizations that have moved the needle. We have NAMI, Henry and Fayette County, Georgia. Free peer support groups, okay, mostly online. Family education. So you can go to Henry Fayette at NAMIGA.org, okay? NAMI, excuse me, dash NAMIHenryFayette.org. And then the number is 404-668-7200. Then we got our city of Fayetteville. Come through, you guys. Our mental health hub. We have local provider directory. We have sliding scale options, groups. Y'all, I'm a group. Y'all love groups. Then we have events. And then you can go to Fayetteville-Georgia.gov, MHAB, which is the Mental Health Advisory Board, our hub, MHAB.gov. All right. Then we have NAMI, National Helpline, information support and referrals, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Text NAMI to 62640. The number is 1-800-950-6264. And then we have SAMHSA, I think that's how, it's SAMHSA, National Helpline. That was a tongue twister for me. But it's also free, confidential, 24/7 treatment referral, EN/ES, find treatment, guess what, .gov. And that number is 1-800-662-4357. And then also we have Head Up Guys, Men Therapy, whoop, 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 self-screening, strategies, and male-friendly resources for depression and anxiety. And you can go to I like that, headsupguys.org dash mantherapy.org. So men, you have some free resources here. And Movember, Face It Foundation, men's health campaigns and peer support groups, us.movember.com Face It Foundation, dash faceitfoundation.org. Do y'all see that? And that's also in community. Not sure where to start? Call 211 or browse our mental health advisory board hub. We have a plethora of resources, you guys. You owe it to yourself to go in there and look. Both can screen you and point you towards a sliding scale option. Guess what? In one call. Like they say, one call, that's all. So let's keep moving with the slides. Okay, before you close this text, pick one. Do it right now. Do it tonight. Screenshot it. Do it tonight. A small action right now is worth 10 promises in the morning. Choose the one that fits you. For yourself, okay? If this is where if you're a man, you're watching this, you're watching the replay, send one text to a friend you've been quiet with. Maybe ask, would you like coffee this week? 6 words, send it. Hit that send button. Maybe for someone else, ask a question twice. Did y'all hear that? Ask it twice. Pick the man you've been worried about. Ask, how are you? Really? And then ask again. Pay attention to body language. For tomorrow, save the numbers. Add 988 and GCAL 1-800-715-4225 to your contacts. Name them so you will recognize them at 2 a.m. in the morning. So if you get that phone call and you don't know what to do, you'll already have these numbers saved in your contacts. If it's you and you wake up through the middle of the night and you're feeling overwhelmed, please, you guys, reach out for help. If you have been thinking about it yourself, call or text 988 right now. Tell them it's your first step. They have heard it 1,000 times. That is, guess what? It's their job. So don't feel like I'm being a burden on anybody, but do it for you. Let's keep moving with the slides. Now, silence is heavy. Somebody say silence is what's heavy. Speaking up is contagious. I always share with our clients, get it out, because if not, you're going to take it out on someone else and it's going to come out in your body. Every man who speaks up, give another man permission to be that man or be the one who listens long enough for him to do it, okay? Once again, every man who speaks up, give another man permission to be that man or be the one who listens long enough for him to. So I want you guys to know, speak up, okay? Don't shut up, but speak up. 988 Call or text 24/7, free and confidential. Right now, pull out your phone, save 988 plus GCAL, and both add both of these numbers to your phone before you close this webinar tonight. And then this month, right now, before the month is over, have one real conversation. Pick one man. Use the Alex. We gave you a demonstration of what to ask. Check in again, what, on next Sunday. And on the behalf of our Mental Health Advisory Board, we want to thank you for showing up. Our next webinar is going to be on Tuesday, July the 28th at 6 o'clock p.m. Okay? So don't forget to share this webinar with a friend. Don't forget to show up. Don't forget to go and check into all of the resources that we have. And on behalf of Dr. Naya Glover, our awesome city councilwoman and the chair of our Mental Health Advisory Board, we want to thank you for your support and thank you for showing up. Next slide. Once again, we just want to thank you guys, okay? You guys don't know how much we value you in your life. We value your voice. It means something to us here in the city of Fayetteville as a man. Thank you for showing up. I want to thank every one of you for listening, for caring enough about the men in your life to learn how to ask. Stay connected. Visit our Mental Health Advisory Board hub. Once again, you have the information on how to connect with us. And then once again, our next webinar is going to be on Tuesday, July the 28th. I want you to write that down, okay? I want you to put it on your calendar, 6 o'clock p.m. at City Hall, right? We're going to be at the City Hall, y'all. So you want to join us. You want to come in and so we can see your beautiful face. We want to see all of the men. I want you guys to come into this webinar so that we can let you know that it's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay for us to stay that way for too long. You know, we want to validate your feelings. We don't want you to feel like it's something wrong with how you're feeling, but we don't want you to stay that way for too long. We want to help you to overcome it. So also remember that, okay, we are listening. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll take a few minutes just for you. Did anybody have any questions or comments? And once again, on the behalf of Dr. Naya Glover, our amazing chair and city councilwoman for the city of Fayetteville, we want to let you know that we appreciate you coming on to this webinar. If you're watching this replay and you need us, or perhaps you're saying, hey, I want to get the help, I'm not sure where to start, reach out to us. We have one of the best, I'm talking about the best chairman and chairwoman that anybody could ask for. I thank God for her vision. I have a passion for mental health. And if you're on here and you are a believer and you feel like, you know, something is wrong with me seeking help, I want you to know that the devil is a liar. I want you to know that you can pray and you can still seek help. Okay. So we just appreciate you guys. I want to thank you guys for showing up. Are there any questions before we end this webinar? Any questions for anybody? Any comments? Okay. You can put them in the chat. I see someone saying this is such great information and insight. Thank you, Andrea. Well, we have truly enjoyed you guys tonight. Mr. Russell, did you have anything else that you wanted to add on?
Just, if you have a guy friend, if you have a buddy or anything out there that you see something going on with, or even if you don't, because a lot of times, men are really good at not showing what's going on. Just ask them how they're doing. Ask them how their week has been. Take the time just to get to know them and dig a little bit deeper than just surface level, because once you go beyond that surface level, that's when we really start to opening up. And look for those group settings. There are a lot of different groups out there right now that are meeting. Um, I know I'm a part of one that meets here locally called Mental Health. And they meet every other Thursday over at Line Creek, and we just get together and create a safe space for men. And I've seen other groups meeting out at City Center Park and just around Fayetteville that just get together to talk. And it lifts a weight off of our shoulders to be able to do that. So don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid just to ask. And if you don't know what to say, just listen, because sometimes all we need is that listening ear. And thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for listening. Please take all this information and use it.
Wow. And thank you, Mr. Russell. And once again, you guys, as a licensed professional therapist, I want you guys to know that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, once again, but it's a sign of strength. And I absolutely love when I see our men come in and seek help. I absolutely enjoy watching them, just beginning to transform and once again taking the weight off. So, on the behalf of our Mental Health Advisory Board again and our amazing Councilwoman, Dr. Naya Glover, we want to thank you guys for showing up. And we'll see you guys next month. Don't forget, okay? Have a great night. Bye bye.